KFI AM 640. It's Later with Mo Kelly. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. I hope you had a great weekend. Mine was, That's all it was. It was, Stayed home and watched the Super Bowl, and that was, Didn't do much. Watched a little TV. That was my weekend.
You should have gone with me.
Where did you go?
Went to a book sale. No. You would have had a lot more fun.
I don't know about that. I don't know. I had big ideas in my head, had a little bit of free time, wasn't officiating any basketball. I did a martial arts seminar on Saturday, but that was the totality of my obligations for the weekend. I was ready to go somewhere to have hang out with friends, watch the game, and it never materialized. I realized, you know what? I think I'm just going to get some food and go home. And that's what I did. And I'm glad I did that because that game was booty. It was abominable. It was boring. We'll talk about it in the halftime show and everything surrounding the game as the night goes on. But, that was my weekend. And did anyone finish the homework assignment this weekend other than Stefan? Anyone?
I haven't started yet.
Gosh, it's turned into a real homework assignment. I can't get you to do anything and turn the assignment in on time.
Okay, I mentioned this to you on the way in, and I know you want a public acknowledgement.
What?
And I'm reluctant to do this, but I started the homework assignment.
Oh, okay.
I watched the first two episodes of Paradise.
First two? Ooh.
Yeah, well, because you can't just stop watching at the end of the first one.
I knew that.
Because they really drop one on you.
Yes, they do.
And I won't spoil anything for anybody as much as it was spoiled for me because the long-suffering one started watching it while I was in the room. But I went back to the beginning and salvaged it. And it's terrific. It's a good show. And this is the only time you were right, and we're going to move on.
When you heard the long-suffering one watching the show, did it tell you too much about how the show started?
It wasn't as damaging as I expected, but she had several outbursts.
Like, damn.
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah.
As we all did. I know Stefan did. I know I did. We're just waiting for Tuwala to get with the rest of the class.
It's worth watching, for sure.
No. Look, I am very, very interested. All the trails look good.
Talking about Paradise Hulu.
Yes, on Hulu. I was even going to try to watch yesterday, but instead of the game, I said, let me just go on and get into Paradise. But I just couldn't. I couldn't find the time to squirrel away and start. And the way you all are talking about it, it's bingeable. It's not something that you just start and watch week to week. No,
start today if you can, or even tomorrow, because episode 5 drops tomorrow. You'll have enough to watch where you have like a fair amount of time that you can spend with it, as opposed to watching it one episode at a time.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to say he's right again, but the only thing that stopped me from watching more was that the sun was coming up and I had to go to sleep. I would have binged what was available. I think there's 4 available
there's
right
4
now.
and 5 drops tonight, I think at midnight.
Okay.
Well, we'll talk about that a little bit later on. We'll tell you why traffic, it's not your imagination. It has been worse for about the past month or so. Speaking of that big game yesterday, the Super Bowl, Shannon Farren is going to join us with her recap and talk about some of the worst freaking commercials ever. I don't remember a year watching the Super Bowl and just how bad the commercials were. Bad. And even Kanye West snuck a commercial in there. How is that even possible? And it was a commercial which promoted his website, which is presently selling Nazi T-shirts.
Yeah.
How is that possible? How did that get into the Super Bowl? We'll talk about it with Shannon Farren. And, California, all this talk of annexing Canada as the 51st state, well, it might be just the 50th state if the Dutch, is it Danish or Dutch?
Isn't it the Dutch?
Got to turn your mic.
Well, what is it you're trying to say?
Well, the Danes have signed a petition to buy California from the U.S.
Okay.
Is it the Dutch? I'm trying to...
Denmark?
Denmark?
The Dutch?
Dutch? Danish?
Wouldn't it be the Dutch are trying to purchase California?
Yeah.
That sounds cool. Yeah, Dutch.
You know how you have these brain farts? It's like you forget simple stuff? That was just one of those times.
I would think you would say the Dutch are trying to purchase California. It's something that over 1,000 Danes have signed a petition to go on and get moving.
Well, I know someone will correct us. I'll get a message in Instagram at Mr. Mo Kelly. I should give out your social media to all, and they'll tell me, you didn't know, you should have known. We'll talk about that. Well, we could switch places, presumably, not presumably, but, whatever, with Canada and have Canada take our place, and then we would go somewhere else where Greenland is placed, with how would it work? Yeah. We're trying to buy Greenland, and also we're trying to annex Canada, and so the Dutch are trying to buy California. It's almost like we're just like playing musical chairs with all these areas in the world. So we'll tell you about that. And coming up tomorrow on the show, not tonight, but tomorrow, you'll definitely want to be listening because we have 4 pit passes and 4 event tickets to Monster Jam this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, at Angel Stadium. That's tomorrow night. We'll be giving away 4 pit passes and 4 event tickets to Monster Jam at Angel Stadium. And before we go to break, we need to let you know about this, what I call a sky river, this atmospheric wall of water, which is coming. Mark, it's going to be raining.
Oh, yeah, thanks. The possibility of rain starts tomorrow and lasts through Friday, and we are under a flash flood watch until Friday.
Flood watch, mudslide watch. We could be on the other end of what we were experiencing 2.5 weeks ago with the fires. Unfortunately, again, California can't catch a break, with the exception of we've had some rain thus far, but now we're supposed to have possibly the biggest storm of the year and the biggest since we've had since 2023.
Really, timing's everything. This is just, we could have used this exactly a month ago.
Our lives would have been considerably different if this rain just happened 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, different for sure. By the way, I have to add, all of us are a bunch of illiterate dopes because the Dutch people live in the Netherlands, where Holland
That's
is.
what I said.
I'm embarrassed. But the mark of an adult is to admit when you're wrong.
Made a mistake. We got it wrong.
Yeah.
We got it wrong. Okay? I can admit it. Got it wrong. And my phone is going crazy right now. People are texting me, I'm sure, the same thing. Let me go to break. Yes. I got a text from Bill Handel's producer.
Oh, God.
Oh, LOL. Dutch are from the Netherlands. Danish are from Denmark. Yes, we got it wrong.
Well, it happens.
It happens.
But we did the honorable thing, and we corrected ourselves.
I will take the L on that one. It's later with Mo Kelly. KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. When we come back, we'll tell you why LA's traffic has been worse than usual over the past month.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Maybe you were wondering. I know I was wondering, and you think like, well, Mo, you didn't notice that the traffic was worse for the past month or so? I did. We talked about it here on this show. We usually start off the show like, oh, it took me an hour and a half to get to the studio tonight. What's different? The obvious thing was there are fewer roads and inlets available for you to drive still because of the fires. Like, for example, PCH, Pacific Coast Highway, has been closed in large part due to the fires up and down in Malibu, and only emergency personnel, utility crews, and a few local residents are allowed access. And that has a chain reaction effect. And all of us then have to deal with that spillover of traffic. I'm talking about drivers from Ventura County, Agoura Hills, San Fernando Valley. Those folks would usually use the canyons to reach PCH to the LA West Side. Now you got to take the 101 and 405, and that was bad before the fires. It just makes it worse. And this is something, now I can't speak for everybody. We all have a different route. And we all know that the running joke is when you're from or living in Southern California, the common conversation is, hey, so what was the route that you took? And it's the this to the this to the this. Like mine is 110 to the 5 to the 134. And if it's really, really packed, then I might have the 110 to the 101, get off at Barham, loop over the hill around the studios, and then I'll get here. Now, I can't speak for Stephen we have pretty much the same route, but he leaves about an hour before me.
Yeah, I would say about an hour before you.
Yeah.
Because I try to leave a little before 2 just to kind of get ahead of the traffic. But I don't know. For me, it's been hit or miss. Sometimes I get on the freeway and it'll take me to through the streets once I get to like USC area. But then there's days where I'll just stay on the freeway and that's actually a lot faster. So it just, and sometimes it's like you see the backup on the 110, but I have fast track, so I just go fly by them. But then you get to that point where it's just all gridlocks.
Yeah, and I think of like down by USC.
Yeah, it's like by the Galen Center.
Yeah, you have to get out of the fast track lane at that point.
Yeah, that's where it ends.
I have the GPS on, but many times I don't believe it. I just don't trust it. When you're going down the 110 freeway and you have to make a decision, am I going to jump on the 101 or am I going to stay on the 110 and go to the 5? Sometimes the GPS will lie to you and tell you that the 101 is faster. And then you get on the 101 and all of a sudden it just comes to a stop. Even though you have the traffic on, I'm using Google Maps and it's lying to me. It's just not accurate. So I'm trying to eyeball it and figure it out. And it may save me 10 or 15 minutes. And there's some days where I know it's going to be bad. Like when it's raining, since we talked about the rain, I am definitely not taking the freeway because I don't want to end up in some sort of chain reaction accident. So I'll probably take Normandy or Western north to the 101 and then get on and get off at Ballman and loop around. Mark, has your commute changed in any way over the past month because of the fires and closures?
It seems a little bit more intense. People seem to be a little bit more aggressive and willing to risk all our lives to get ahead by one car length.
One car.
I've administered a few extra middle fingers recently.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I had to. I felt it was my duty.
It's never your fault, though, right?
I'm a really careful, respectful, safe driver. And so when somebody's just driving like a D-bag, that's when I feel it's my patriotic duty as a citizen to employ the middle finger.
I'm self-aware in the respect that, yeah, people call me old, get off my lawn. I recognize it the most when I'm driving. I'm most offended when people are driving too fast, even though I can drive kind of fast. I'm talking about people who are reckless in their driving and make it unsafe for everyone. You know, you don't have to weave in and out of traffic hoping that I'm going to see you, hoping that I'm going to stay driving in a way which is static enough for you to weave in and out.
Yeah, all for what? My latest thing that I despise and find myself hating myself for the wishes I'm having for these people is when you're in the right lane and it's two lanes that merge into one, and the far right is the merge lane, and it narrows to one lane, and you're in the one lane after it's narrowed. Somebody tries to zip around you
and dive right in front of you.
Yeah, unacceptable. Those people richly deserve the middle finger.
Those are the times I think that I'm closest to getting into an altercation because I'm looking in my rearview mirror. Let's say I'm in that right lane and I'm looking in the rearview mirror and there's usually space behind me. But this a-hole D-bag is determined to shoot past me and dive in front of me, and I have to slam on my brakes.
Yeah, what kind of person does that? There's no need for that. You get nothing out of it except, 1 millisecond ahead of where you would have been? It's insane.
But there's plenty of space behind me.
Yeah.
Plenty of space. And everyone knows what I'm talking about because we've all dealt with it. Now, there was a time in which I was a person merging on the 110, and I made it a point not to try to leapfrog everybody and get in early. I thought I was being the considerate one. And this white Toyota to the left of me.
Oh, you even remember the make?
I remember.
The make and the model.
I remember because I was on my way to the studio and I was filling in for someone and I didn't have time to stop and get into it with someone, or I couldn't even risk an accident. But this white Toyota pulled up faster behind me to make sure I couldn't get in. I was at that point ready to have an accident so I could go ahead and have that situation.
Well, it really makes you wish you had one of the old Aston Martin DB5s like you saw in Goldfinger with the tire shredders and the oil slick and the water cannon out the back and the bulletproof shield that pops up in the back
I want a speed racer, and I thought about this because he had these two serrated, these spitting blades.
On the rim?
No, that come out the front of the car. That would cut down the trees and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. I just wanted to cut through some cars.
Did they depict that in the live action movie? I mean, I remember it from the cartoon.
I don't know if they put it. I don't know if they put it in the movie. I think that was one of the things they did not put in the movie. I'm not exactly sure. I have to go back and look.
I mean, I'd even accept like a Jeep with a 50 caliber on top, like they had in the Rat Patrol. People have gotten so obnoxious. You can't just let this happen.
But all these things work together. And we were saying at the top of the segment that LA traffic has been worse than usual. And it traces back to the fires. There's a closure of PCH in Malibu. And it has this chain reaction effect where all this traffic, people are much more impatient. Traffic is worse as they're trying to find some sort of alternative route to get where they're going. And so people are just acting like more of an a-hole than usual. And it's usually a lot, but I almost did a Mark Runner. Almost.
Well, we're not calling it that, but
no, but it's a reference point. Everybody knows what I'm talking about.
That's not a thing. And
You've earned it.
And we're not going to make it a thing. I honestly have been reading a whole lot about COVID brain damage. I think there's an element of that in the worst driving around the country.
I think we are definitely worse as a society as far as our socialization skills post-pandemic, without a doubt. From airplane travel to freeways, interacting with each other, how we acted, movies, all of those things. We are more inconsiderate now and less tolerant now than before the pandemic.
Right. And if you read some of these experts, like legit experts, not just talking heads, it's kind of like Dunning-Kruger effect. The people who have brain damage are unaware that they have sustained brain damage because they're brain damaged.
Yes. Those who don't know that they don't know.
Exactly. And it's terrifying.
When we come back, Shannon Farren, of course, of Gary and Shannon, will join us with her thoughts on last night's Super Bowl, halftime show, and so much more. KFI AM 640. Stop texting me about Danish and Netherlands. Yes, we got it wrong.
Hey, at least we didn't get out a Sharpie to fudge it, okay? Come on.
Yes, we got it wrong. It's like, we got Mo Kelly. You got something wrong. Yes, I got it wrong. I got it wrong. I'll say it one more time. I got it wrong. KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And now that the big game is over, finally, now that the NFL season is over, finally, the Philadelphia Eagles are now champions. Once again, I might add, and the three-peat dreams of Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs have been dashed. And who better to talk about all of that and more is Gary and Shannon's Shannon Farren, who joins me after a very long day of work. Look, Shannon, I appreciate you coming on this evening. It's a long-ass day for you, but thank you for coming on.
Well, it's a good thing we're not digging ditches, Mo. You know what I mean?
It's true. It's true. There are worse things that we could be doing. But let me ask you, what did you think of the game last night, the game itself and everything surrounding the game?
You know, if you watch the NFL, you know that there are certain weeks where teams, whatever team in particular, just doesn't show up. They don't ever get off the buses. They don't make it into the stadium or the locker room. They don't make it onto the field. For whatever reason, they don't show up that day. Usually you'll see this in maybe week 1 or week 2 when people are knocking the dust off because nobody plays preseason anymore. Sometimes it'll be the middle of the season as the growing pains and the injuries kick in. And sometimes it'll be unfortunately late in the season. It's very unfortunate when it's the Super Bowl. The Kansas City Chiefs did not show up. If you watch the Chiefs this season, yes, they got lucky with a lot of one-score wins, and it wasn't all luck. It could come down on really either team there. They could have easily missed the playoffs altogether if those one-score games went the other way. They have not been a well-oiled machine all season long. And the Philadelphia defense is not or did not get the attention that it so well deserved leading up into the Super Bowl. And you saw why in that game last night.
I think you articulated what I was thinking and feeling when I was watching the game. I didn't see a sense of urgency by anyone on the Chiefs team. Not that they didn't want to win, not that they weren't into the game. It just didn't seem like that they realized that there was a finite amount of time they had to get it done. I didn't see Travis Kelce yelling at Andy Reid on the sideline. I didn't see anyone say, hey, let's get this stuff together.
I couldn't agree more. I thought that they looked like they were in need of want. Like nobody out there looked like they really wanted it. Like they were hungry for it. Listen, you can say it means just as much as the first Super Bowl all you want till you're blue in the face, but it doesn't. The fact that the Kansas City Chiefs have been to the Super Bowl routinely in the past decade or the last 4 or 5 years is evident by that lack of want. And you can't say what you can't tell me what our eyes see. You know what I mean? That is what our eyes saw in that team. They've recently, they won it back-to-back years. They won it a couple years before that. And it's obvious, it shows. It's also very hard to keep that kind of winning and that brand of winning together like that for such a long period of time. That's why a three-peat is so rare. That's why it's not done. It's just very hard to keep that level up, especially when you're looking at how lengthy the NFL seasons are, the wear and tear on your body, the changes in personnel.
Something I thought the broadcast was dull. I thought Tom Brady was dull and a little too much self-aggrandizement about his career. Maybe he was kind of jealous of the attention that Patrick Mahomes was getting. I wasn't overwhelmed with Kendrick Lamar. I understood what he was trying to do with this layered message performance, but Kendrick Lamar was not a household name, so a lot of it, I think, went over America's heads. I just thought the whole evening was dull. What was your feeling?
It did seem kind of like a flatlined broadcast. And I agree with you about Tom Brady. What my reaction was, and I'm not a Tom Brady hater. Hey, listen, if you want to devote yourself to being excellent at what you do, I am all about that. I love that. I respect it. All of it. Like I love that he was great and he devoted his whole life into being the best and he did it for so long. And I think that's wonderful. I've never been a Tom Brady hater. But that said, I've had enough Tom Brady on Super Bowl Sunday in my lifetime. We had 8 Super Bowl Sundays with Tom Brady's ass on our screen. So the last person I want to hear in the post Tom Brady era on Super Bowl Sunday is Tom Brady talking about Tom Brady. And that's what it was from when I was paying attention. That's what it felt like. And I don't think Kendrick Lamar was for us, Mo. I think that we've aged out. I think if you were under 35, it meant more. You got it more. You enjoyed it more. I mean, I'm familiar with his music. I'm familiar with the beef with Drake, but I feel like it was a young person's halftime. And I think that like all of the older people, 40 plus people were just like, okay. I mean, and listen, the Super Bowl is all about appealing to like the biggest swath of America, right? And I don't know what you're going to do that unless you go for the older artists. Tom Brady wearing the $750,000 watch, I don't think that appeals to Dave on his couch in, Kansas either. I think that sometimes the Super Bowl gets in the way of itself, like the award shows do when they start thinking about what they want to see too often and not what like everyday people want to see.
I have another question, and I think you can best answer this. You remember how the NFL was very, very particular and picky about what commercials it would feature, whose money it would take for the commercials during the broadcast. I don't understand how Kanye West managed to get a commercial during the Super Bowl. Can you help me figure that out?
Well, it was just supposed to air on 3 markets, LA, Atlanta, and Philadelphia. It was through a third-party advertising agency. The onus is on the ad agency to do the work to make sure they're not going to be selling anything controversial, i.e. T-shirts with swastikas on them. Somehow they just looked at the content of what the ad was and not behind what was in the ad. They didn't take into account his rantings on social media where he's clearly going through another mental health episode or an ongoing mental health episode. They did not take that into account, all the things that he was tweeting about last week. They just took into account the content of what aired, which was an iPhone video of Kanye shooting it in a dentist chair or what have you, saying, check out my website. When this was okayed, when this went to press, so to speak, Yeezy.com had none of the swastika stuff. It was just his branded athleisure wear. Sunday, something flipped, the switch was flipped, and everything went to that sole item of the T-shirt with the swastika after the ad already got the green light. In the future, will there be due diligence? You betcha.
I just don't understand how that even happened, even after the fact. I mean, someone's got to be at the wheel, realizing this is Kanye West.
Yeah.
There's gotta be, another angle in this for Kanye West. All that said, given the commercial, and I thought the commercials overall were lackluster, given the halftime show, given what I thought was a very muted Super Bowl overall, do you have any expectations or predictions which will change how it will be presented next year?
I don't know. I'm kind of struggling with the broadcast because for the first time I watched those commercials, kind of half watched them because there were a bunch of people in the room, but I felt old, Mo. I was like, what does this all mean? What's going on? And maybe it was the AI. Maybe it was the year that AI wanted to show what it could do and everything was just kind of crazy. But there's a couple commercials where I'm like, what am I missing? Like, I just don't get it. I just don't have my finger on the pulse of like what's cool and what's happening right now. I don't know if you're going to see the pendulum swing the other way into a more traditional Super Bowl. I mean, they did have the beer commercials. They did have the Clydesdales. They did have the hot girl eating the messy burger. So there were some of those usual hallmarks. But who knows? Who knows where we're going to be next year? Crazy world, right? Like, who knows what the climate's going to be? A lot of these commercials were conceptualized apparently during the height of the political upheaval. So nobody wanted anything serious or to talk about politics. And so they just stuck to crazy, I guess. But whoever okayed the seal as a seal, that person should be put in a closet and never taken out.
Thank you. Thank you for saying what I was going to say anyhow without me having to say it. In fact, when we come back, we're going to get into some of those commercials, including the seal being a seal commercial and so much more. It's Later with Mo Kelly. Thank you so much, Shannon Farren.
Thank you, Mo.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
You can't be demanding. You can't be relentless. You can't put yourself first. So, put yourself first. You can't be confident. So be confident. You can't challenge. So challenge. You can't dominate. So dominate. You can't flex. So flex. You can't fill a stadium. So fill that stadium. You can't be emotional, so be emotional. You can't take credit. You can't speak up. You can't be so ambitious. You can't break records. You can't have any fun. You can't make demands. You can't keep score. You can't stand out. Whatever you do, you can't win. So win.
KFI, it's Later with Mo Kelly. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. You know, for all the bad commercials that I saw yesterday, that Nike commercial was the only one that stuck with me. It's like, let me see what this is about. Okay, I get it. And then they wrapped it up with a nice bow at the end. I liked it. Now, is it a call to action for me to go out and buy tickets to this or that? No, but I thought the ad was impactful. Given all the other garbage out there, usually there was an ad that would make me laugh or like, oh, let me check out this. There was nothing like that yesterday. And I watched the whole game, each ad block. I saw nothing funny.
Wow.
Not the Dunkin' Donuts with Ben Affleck. I thought that was tired this year. And now the Listeria outbreak with,
Yeah.
It's just nothing. I was looking forward to the commercials. I couldn't find anything. Did you guys find anything?
They had a new Thunderbolts preview that was pretty good.
That was phenomenal. But arguably, none of the other film commercials or trailers, big game ad spots were good. The other ones were like, well, this was a waste of time.
And a lot of these ads I'd already seen.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
Now, the one that I was talking about with Shannon Farren was the one with Seal playing an actual seal. It was a Mountain Dew commercial.
That made me uncomfortable.
When I saw that one, it's like, ooh, Seal, you must be hurting for money. Because, ooh.
Mountain Dew Baja Blast.
Refreshing.
It's kissed by the perfect amount of tropical lime.
This is Seal as a seal singing on top of a rock. Secondhand embarrassment.
Yeah, my flippers got old Mountain Dew. It slips right on through watershed.
Now the orcas circling the boat. Those stupid travelers. Now the orcas are joining in the performance.
So much he can say. You remain my power, my pleasure, my
Well, this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Mountain Dew Baja Blast. A blast of tropical
Now,
life.
Seal is in the boat.
Good
out of
looking
somewhere.
seal. None of this makes sense.
None of it. None of it. And you know what? I have no desire to drink Mountain Dew.
That commercial was, to me, I'm sorry. The seal's face hyperimposed onto a seal.
It was so scary.
It was scary. It was like something out of a nightmare.
Mark, you would have appreciated it. It would have done well in a horror movie.
Yeah.
I'm glad I missed it.
It's not too late. You can always find it.
No, the Thunderbolts is plenty for me. I really want to see that. The rest I couldn't care less about.
For me, that's part of the reason why I do tune into the Super Bowl, because during the ad breaks, usually there is a major movie trailer inserted, maybe 2 or 3. I don't know what the other 2 were supposed to be as far as major movies. I can't remember any of them, so they couldn't have been all that
I know
good.
they did a How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh, I saw that. That's right.
Which that didn't do anything to sell it.
No.
The extended Mission Impossible final mission or whatever. I did not like this trailer as much as I liked the original trailer, because this trailer seemed like it was just a confusing mess versus the first trailer, the teaser trailer, which really sold the intensity. It was like this was a recut, rehashed version of that, where I was just like, this is too much. Now you're doing too much of this trailer.
Something said to me that there had to be a better way to spend $8 million, actually $16 million, because I think it was $8 million for 30 seconds. Those were at least a minute. So I'm thinking $16 million for those minute-long spots. If you're going to spend that type of money, make sure you're getting your money's worth. And I don't think, yes, I'm not the ad exec, but I don't think that that's the best way to spend $16 million.
I had read a great deal about the commercials, and someone pointed out that there was, a Jesus commercial, and
that's right.
And that actual Jesus might have used that $8 million to help people instead of a Super Bowl commercial.
Not wrong.
No, it was a good point.
It's a great point. You know, the whole idea of Jesus throwing out the money changers in the temple, Jesus is not going to spend $16 million in self-promotion.
Yeah, I don't think he had a marketing team.
Now, speaking of Jesus, Yeezy did an ad where he's promoting Nazism?
Not directly. He was in a chair, a dentist chair, and he shot this commercial, air quotes, on an iPhone with the camera faced toward him. And he shows off his new grill, which was ridiculous. And he's just talking about the grill, but he says, go to my website, and I'm not going to tell you what it was, but it was prominently featured on the screen. It's a bare bones ad. There's nothing special about it. It's anybody's phone. And it says, go to my website. Come to find out later, it is selling just Nazi t-shirts for $20.
Seriously, what the hell? Did you ever think, or did our parents or grandparents ever think that we were going to be dealing with Nazis out in the open again in the year of our Lord 2025? What is going on?
I don't think they could have predicted anything which has happened since 2016. Nothing.
But the Nazi stuff in particular is egregious. This is nuts.
Oh, that's egregious? I could find some other egregious things as well.
Yeah, I know. It's a photo finish, but seriously, Nazis. All of our popular culture from the time we were growing up indicated that Nazis were bad, and now we have Nazis.
They're going under a rebranding. It's Nazis 2025.
Oh, you got the jazz hands with the Nazis? Yeah.
Not the jazz hands.
Ignorance is bliss. We have zero bliss. Completely blissless.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.